Hi, Unemployed Al again here. I just want to give you a quick recap before I get into things here. Basically, the first part of the video is going to be a synopsis of every one of the horses. Second part of the video is going to be my picks, which is at about the 1540, 1530 mark. You can scoot to there if you want to see my picks. And then at the end, I just have some charts that I made up which show speed figures. Speed figures come from different organizations. They calculate speed figures differently, and I kind of like highlighted the areas where they were ranked higher. I kind of put them in order according to the best possible speed that they could run. That doesn't mean they're going to run their best possible race tomorrow, or that's to be determined. But anyway, so that's the synopsis video, and don't forget, if you do win something, go to my Patreon page and help me out too. I will appreciate that. All right, and thanks for watching. Hi, Unemployed Al here again, with my picks and my race analysis of the Pimlico race of the Preakness for 2021. I will try to make it a lot shorter than Kentucky Derby one. Sorry about that. And it shouldn't go that long. I'm going to quickly go over the horses. There's only 10 horses, so it should go much quicker. So we're going to start in post position order, and we'll just give you a quick analysis of each horse. And then from there, I'll give you my picks and some speed figure numbers that you can look at and judge for yourself what you think. All right, thank you. Okay, the first horse we're going to be looking at is a horse called Ram. It's entered by D. Wayne Lucas. It's in the number 1 post position. Ram has won its last 2 races. It took about 8 races before it finally won, but it won by 2 lengths, and then it won its next race in the allowance company by 2 lengths. Kind of a mid-pack closer. Trained by D. Wayne Lucas. D. Wayne Lucas has won with some long shots into Preakness, so he's been known to do this. The numbers aren't there. He's a little bit low on numbers, so he'll have to take a step forward, but he is improving and he's going in the right direction, and that's how Lucas wins. He looks for horses that are going in the right direction, and he puts them in, and if they improve, they win. And even himself on the interview said that the horse does need to improve to win, but it's not out of the question of the horse improving. He is 30-1, so it's a very long shot. My opinion, probably is not going to improve. Not much experience, and he just broke his maidens 2 races back. So I think he had at least 12 or 14 race career. All right, so let's move on to the second horse, which is Keep Me in Mind. Keep Me in Mind is one of the horses that came from the Kentucky Derby. He closed really well. He had trouble, a little bit of trouble. He comes from behind. He did have trouble though, and he did have some trouble raced wide, and then he picked off a lot of horses, tiring horses. His numbers aren't the greatest this year, but last year he was right there with the favorites. The favorites that won the Breeders' Cup. He was in the Breeders' Cup, and he's right there, 2-3 lengths back. They're not here today, so he's doing good. He's heading the right direction. Trainer likes him a lot. He had a good workout. He could upset the apple cart if things work out on the front end, where some type of speed duel comes through with Medina Spirit and a Concert Tour. Then he could close and maybe do something. So that's number 2, Keep Me in Mind, and you get a good price on him too. I believe he's about 15-1. Then you got number 3, which is of course your favorite, Medina Spirit. Medina Spirit will be on the front end or close to the front end. Its barn mate, which Baffert also trains, is Concert Tour. They're both working well. Assistant trainer said that they were working well. Saw a couple of interviews with them, and so they're both doing really well. They both have speed. They both kind of like the front end. I believe Concert Tour was Baffert's 2nd or 3rd Derby horse that he thought would be the Derby winner. Medina Spirit was like something like 6th or 7th in his book. I think Lucky was his top, but didn't make it. So anyway, he didn't race in the Derby, Concert Tour, so Medina Spirit ended up wiring him, because Rock Your World didn't fire out of the gate. The jockey fell out of the stirrups, so he had a bad break and packed it up after that. So anyway, that's Medina Spirit, and she's got the highest buyers. He got the high speed figures. He's got speed. He's the favorite at 9-5, and it's pretty much his race to lose. Uh, but we're expecting a good race because I think 5 out of the 6 Baffert horses have that won the Derby also won the Preakness. And the one that didn't was last year, and it was a weird schedule because it wasn't the normal running of the Triple Crown. You had the races spaced very strange and different. So, maybe there was an excuse for that. So he knows how to get him ready for the next race after Derby win. Next race we're going to look at is number 4, Crowded Trade. Crowded Trade is a Chad Brown horse. Very interesting. He's got very good numbers. He ran good numbers. He's lightly raced, 3 races. But he raced in the Wood, and a lot of the people think the Wood was a slow race, which it was. It was a deep track. A lot of closers were flying there, and he ran a good race. But then all those horses that came out of the Wood, they didn't race very good in the Derby. So if you go by that pecking order and say, well, the Derby, the Wood Memorial, those horses ran like bad, so so you would throw it out. But I think this horse is lightly raced, and he's got some good numbers in the Gotham. He ran a winning race, and I think if he could, even though trainer Chad Brown said he's not sure about the distance, so the distance is a question. If he can get the distance, he might be a very challenge, and I believe he's 10-1, and he's got good buyer numbers, good Brisnet numbers, so at 10-1, I think he has a chance if he can get that distance, and I think that's the main concern was the distance. So, and he's kind of a mid-pack closer, so he can be right there. And usually you have to be pretty close. They said Pimlico, in the pretty close positions in order to win these type of races. Speed usually wins thoroughbred races, and that's why speed is what usually does well. Like Medina Spirit has the speed, and Concertor has the speed. And, speed horses seem to do well in Derby races or more expensive races. So that's the number 4 horse, Crowded Trade. So I went to number 5, which is Midnight Bourbon. Everyone's kind of hot on this horse. He's a third choice at 5-1. Everyone's kind of picking this horse. Not picking the other two, Medina Spirit and the Concertor. Maybe it's because of the drugging issues and Bob Baffert and this and that. So maybe they kind of want to beat him. I don't know. But, Midnight Bourbon showed a little there in the Kentucky Derby. He ran a pretty good race. He had a lot of trouble. He picked off some horses at the end, too. But, of course, he was no match for Medina Spirit that day. But they think this horse is improving. He's been always racing against all the top horses, like your Mandolin and your Hot Rod Charlie and those kind of horses. So, and they're not here today. So, if the two favorites don't fire, he could win this race, or if he jumps up and improves, he would need to improve a little bit on his numbers, but not much because he's been at this class level. So that's why a lot of people are at Midnight Bourbon. But I'm kind of like a little skeptical, only because Mike Smith rode Midnight Bourbon. Now I don't know if the connections were mad because he didn't break him good or bad or whatever, but Mike Smith ends up over on Concert Tour. And I think if Mike Smith knows his horses, I think, and so does his agent, I believe they know, that Midnight Bourbon's on a good one. I think they would go for it. So, they kind of like lost their faith in Midnight Bourbon, so they ended up going over to Concert Tour, Mike Smith. So anyway, that's Midnight Bourbon. Number 6 is Rombauer. Rombauer is a very interesting horse. He was in the Bluegrass Stakes. He ran against the big favorite, Essential Quality, and he was third on the rail. He's a closer. It was a thing where he did close on the 2 winners, but he did gallop out very well from the 3rd position. He wasn't too far out. So and they kind of skipped this race. They skipped the Kentucky Derby, and they were targeting this race here, the Preakness. So if you want to go by horses that target races, you would go, hey, this horse, the connections we're looking for, the time between the Preakness and the Kentucky Derby is only 2 weeks. So, they let this Rombauer rest, so he's got more rest, so he's more, ready to go at the Preakness, because of the rest versus the Derby horses. They've come off of 2 weeks rest. But usually 2 weeks, they're usually pretty good still. The Derby horses, they still seem to do pretty good. I think it's the extra 3 weeks And before you get to the Belmont, so that's what makes your Triple Crown so difficult to win, is because you got a 2 week gap, then you got a 3 week gap, and you got 3 big races within these 5 weeks. So that's what makes it harder to win. So you'll see a lot of horses, they win the first 2 legs, but then the third leg they always seem to not get there or come up short, or someone beats them because it's a longer distance race on top of that, and not that much rest, and they've been racing 2 difficult races before they get to the Belmont. So anyway, Rob Bauer is kind of a come behind her, so he needs that fast pace too. So he's kind of hoping that Concert Tour and someone else and Medina Spirit go at it, and maybe a third horse jumps in there. And let's move on to the 7 horse, which would possibly be the third horse, France Go Inda. He's kind of a super long shot here. But the interesting is Rosario stays with them, and Rosario was riding Concert Tour. So it's interesting that Rosario goes to this France d'Indy. Of course, we know that France d'Indy he raced in the UAE Derby, and he won a couple races in Japan. I watched the video on the UAE Derby, and he broke pretty good, and he was up there with the leaders. There was it was a huge field, and he was up there with the leaders. So, he does have speed. The horse does have speed. Maybe, he's going to be the one to get out there and challenge him, or he's going to set in the right spot where he has a chance, to pounce on the leaders. Very long shot, and not completely out of the question. Nobody knows much about this horse. But I did see that he had speed, so speed is always dangerous in these kind of races, like I said. And he could create that, like I said, speed duel to set up some of these closers, like this, like this either Unbridled Honor, which is the next horse I'm going to talk about, the 8 horse, or of course the Rombauer, which I talked about also, or even the Keep Me in Mind. All these horses are horses that want to kind of come out from the clouds, but they need a hot pace to chase at, and if they get that, they have a shot. So the next horse I was talking about was the Unbridled Honor. Unbridled Honor wanted to slop into Lexington. He didn't win. He ran second to the King Fury, but that race was not highly ranked. It was a decent speed, but not really that fast. He's been kind of improving slowly his last 3 races, which is a good thing. But really, he's only got a maiden race to his credit that he won. So he would have to take a step forward, and we don't really have a judge on him because King Fury was scratched from the Derby. If King Fury ran, maybe we'd get a better judge of how good Unbridled Honor is. So next horse we talk about is number 9, which is Risk Taking, another horse that came out of the wood, the second Chad Brown entry. And basically, he was a favorite in the wood, and he just didn't fire. He just ran flat. Excuses I heard was that he broke bad, so he was kind of coming from behind, and I guess he got some kind of dirt clog in his eye or something like that, or mud in his face, and I guess if you had a dirt clog in your eye while you're running, you're not going to run so good. So he kind of stopped running, and they decided, hey, we're going to wait. Once again, we're going to target wood. And so really both the Chad Browns, he's kind of was targeting the wood on this horse. This horse probably can get the distance. He's by Magilia de Oro, so he could probably get that distance. So not too worried about the distance on this horse. Before the wood, he won his last 2. He won the Withers as a favorite. And before that, he broke his maidens with a very high 98 speed figure on Brisnet. So Risk Taking, if he takes a step forward, he's got a chance too. He'd need to do that also. He's kind of a middle, I'd say he's a middle closer too. And then finally on the end, you got your Concert Tour number 10. Concert Tour, 90, 95, 95. He's got some very nice speed figures also that really make him second choice. He is second choice, more like second choice at, I believe, 2-1. And he's got speed galore. This horse has a lot of speed. Bob Baffert was pretty high on this horse at one time. I think even to the point where he was trying to teach Medina Spirit to rate so that Medina Spirit would have a mid-closer kind of rating chance. And Medina Spirit has never really come from behind. They say he doesn't like to pass horses. 2 races, he didn't let horses pass him. So because of this, they think he can't pass a horse. But maybe the horse matured. Medina Spirit could have matured, and he can pass horses now. So we can't just say, oh, because 2 times he didn't, he can't now. But because maybe he can, maybe he's improved. They said he found another gear. They said there was another gear Medina Spirit had. So you're going to end up with kind of a match race and a speed duel with these two, 5-2 and 2. This is their predictions. They expect not Rombauer, but they expect Midnight Bourbon to sit there in the sweet spot. So a lot of the wise guys are going with the Midnight Bourbon, which is the 3rd choice at 5-1. He does show the class, like I said. He raced against the others. So if Medina Spirit doesn't fire, then he probably pick up the pieces, and then they're assuming since Concert Tour missed the Kentucky Derby that maybe there were some issues with him. He was a little sick. I guess he was a little underweight, but now they got him off fat again, or whatever you want to say it, in good shape. So he's ready to go against, according to one of the trainers. And so Concert Tour may be a more of a factor. But as far as numbers, a lot of people like the DRF, they got little lower buyers on him and everything. So according to his numbers, maybe he is out. Maybe Medina has improved that much more, and we'll find out though. But I know if Bob's running them both, I'm sure it's because of the owners, and I'm sure the owners would have liked to get the Kentucky Derby, but they did it now. So so that's basically the analysis of all the horses. Now let's move on to my picks. What the heck am I gonna pick? Unemployed Al, how does he think? Okay, I gave you all the rundown. You can come up with your own decisions from that. Okay. As far as my picks go. Okay, I'm leaning towards the Concert Tour right now. I think Concert Tour, was Baffert's best horse. I think he's in better shape. He skipped the Derby, so they were kind of targeting this in a way. Maybe not intentional, because I think Bob said that, he was hoping he had another extra week for Concert Tour, and then he would have put him in the Derby. So that was one of his quotes. So anyway, I think I'm going to try it. Shot with Concert Tour. I think he is the best horse. I think Bob knows he's the best horse. Unfortunately, because of the connections of Medina Spirit, they have to run because it's the second leg and they want a Triple Crown winner. But Bob's other client on Concert Tour, they want to win a race too. They'd love to win a Derby race, or one of the Triple Crown races that increases your stud fee quite a bit. So so they're going to give him a chance. They're going to let him run in there, and I don't think they're going to make deals or anything. If the 2 jockeys are smart, which they are, very both wise jockeys, they're just going to parade around the track. They're just going to not kill each other off if no one's going to press the pace. Now, if the Japanese horse France the Indy tries to get involved, or one of the other horses decides we're going to send and try to get involved, then now you have 3 horses, possibly 4 horses jetting for the lead. Might increase their pace on those 2, and then you might end up with that speed duel, and then you're going to have your closers come in, and the closer's going to end up winning, like a Rombauer, or the Midnight Bourbon's going to sit there in the 3-hole like a canary, and or 4-hole, depending if someone else goes up there and challenges, and then and try to pounce them. So, but I think, just my own opinion, I think they're not going to kill each other out. I don't think the other horses have enough pace. Like I say, maybe the Japanese horse might. But otherwise, so I think that's how it's going to go, is those 2 are just going to run around the track. It could go right down to the wire. Maybe Medina wins. Maybe Concert Tour wins. But I think Concert Tour might have a little edge. The other horse I probably like, too, is I kind of like this Crowded Trade. He has good numbers. The trainer said, well, he might come short. But he might not come up short. He might fire a big race. He's only lightly raced, and he might not come up short, and he might just pass both of them and win the race. So he's a great upset winner at 10-1. He's your value horse, definitely. And of course, I always like to keep me in mind because he closed so well in the Derby, and he always puts in a good effort. The trainer expects him to put a good effort in, so he always closes. And he's always close to the good horses, all these the big hoopla horses, and he's always racing against them, and he's close to them. So he's a good long shot too. Keep me in mind, a number 2 horse. So and then, like I said, Ram, no, I don't like it. Oh, that's the 1 horse. So I'd say the Crowded Trade, and maybe the Rombauer, his numbers are improving. he ran good against Essential Quality and Highly Motivated. So yeah, Rombauer could pounce him too if they get that speed duel on top, and he could win it too. So you got the possibilities of upset wins. I would say is your Crowded Trade and your Rombauer. Midnight Bourbon to win. I think both Concert Tour and Medina Spirit would have to take a dive. They'd have to run bad race, and I don't see that happening. I don't think Bob's gonna throw his horses in there, and if they lose, everyone's gonna say, "Oh, it was a drug thing," and Bob needed the horses to be drugged and blah blah, and they had to cheat. So Bob's gonna send horses they're ready to run, and he knows that. He's a good trainer. So anyway, go with that, and good luck with the Derby. All right. I'll probably end up buying one ticket with like I said, with the two favorites, and then with the long shots I think would come in the 3-hole, and then I'll probably buy one with the favorites, try one of the two of the longer shots beating them, and that'll be my other trifecta. So anyway, so good luck with that, and good luck with the Biblical Derby. I got my Patreon page down below. If you make some money, any support is good support for me, and I appreciate you listening to me and taking the time. All right, thank you.